community is agitated. 46 people violently assassinated in Cleveland's hostel in Umlazi over the past year. A few arrests have been made, but no convictions to date. The ongoing violence at this hostel, which is home to almost 22,000 people, continues to be a challenge to the South African police, despite numerous raids and operations conducted here. While the police are baffled by the calculated nature of the killings, the residents that live here believe that there is a hit list being executed by a gang of hitmen that have made Cleveland's hostels a killing field.
Azothena kukhona umuntu emanemfonela emSABC ayithena uzombulala. Bese ndiyabuza mina ukubulalela na athi hayi akachongo uthe nje nandisafuna ukuphilela ifamily yami.
Ngisathukile ngoba uma ndibona umuntu engamaziyo endilandela kuye kunyanzeleke ukuba ndiyimedlule ngoba ndazi noba kuseyibona laba bantu ababesifikele ngoba busuku.
Particularly this year, we've noticed a big insurgence of hitmen at Cleveland's. It's definitely becoming a crime center. And these, as I say, these are definitely politically motivated assassinations.
Tonight's special assignment investigates the ongoing violence at Cleveland's hostel in KwaZulu-Natal that has become notorious for calculated killings that so far seem to have been done with impunity. Cleveland's hostel in Umlazi has always been an epicenter of violence in KZN since 1994, with political conflict between the Inkatha Freedom Party and the ANC. Even as far back as 1995, arsenals of illegal firearms have been found in this hostel during SABC raids, and political motivated killings have been the order of the day. Over the past few years, the hostel has become a breeding ground for crime syndicates. The recent murder of Bongani Shlope, one of the leaders in the hostel, who people feared and accused of being behind some of the violence in the area, is seen to have the potential to trigger a series of retaliatory attacks. Even the army has been deployed to the area following the murders. A volatile and tense atmosphere prevails in Cleveland's hostel as the funeral procession of the two most recent victims of the ongoing violence gets underway. SABC deployment as well as the Metro Police have been stepped up to mitigate any further incidents. Angry supporters of Shlope toy outside Block 52, where he was gunned down just a few weeks ago, chanting songs of war, while vigilant SABC and Metro members keep a close eye on the proceedings. They are escorted in their hundreds from Cleveland's hostel to Umkomaas by a heavily armed SABC escort. It is clear that the police are taking no chances as they search every bus and hostel resident before they enter the area where the funeral is being held. The highly charged emotions at funerals like these are known to lead to instant revenge attacks, especially since rumors have been circulating that Shlope's followers have vowed to avenge his death and stated that one person from the rival blocks would be killed every day till the day of his funeral. As the masses arrive at the funeral that is already in session, they move in impi-like unison towards the ceremony, brandishing traditional weapons and chanting Zulu war songs. In the midst of this charged atmosphere, we get the opportunity to talk to the late Shlope's sister, who is still mourning for the loss of a brother.
Sesifikile khona sathola ukuthi nene wangenela abantu bamdubulake shuthi ngokuzwa kwethu kunomunye owezomtshela ukuthi nene nako khona ngakuboni kahle uthe lo engofiki ukuyemtshela engasi wase eqamba yesiyomtshela kwase kwaqala ngaye abantu bagcina ngalo sendlini.
Despite the ruthless and violent manner in which a brother was murdered, Shlope's sister believes that justice needs to be served as opposed to vengeance.
Asikholele kutheni umuntu kuyabuyisela kubi ngokubi. Sicabanga ukuthi bese kube ngelomthetho athi isandla kulo ndawo.
Lucas Ndlovu, a close friend of Bongani Shlope, is one of the leaders in Block 52 and stayed 2 floors above him in the hostel. He remembers vividly the night and the way that his friend and ally was killed.
Kwafika abantu ababehlasela eBlock 52. Bafika bangena abanye bakhuphuka ngetepiso zakwa right, abanye bakhuphuka ngetepiso zaka left, kanti sebebonile omunye umfo ubhuti wakacela wazama lo bhuti wacela ukuthi uyozama ukuyothiphisa uhlophe kanti abanye abakhuphuka kwezinye izitebhiso sebembonile bashesha kusho ukuthi bamdubulela kwi-Battle Guards base bengena ngaphakathi ke bamdubula uhlophe.
He remains hopeful that the murder of Shlope will not lead to an escalation of violence and is of the view that the tensions in the area has reached levels where intervention by Zulu King Zwelithini is needed to bring about peace in Umlazi.
Siyacabanga ukuzama ukuthi sibabonise abantu noma belimele inhliziyo. Kodwa ke bayavuma ukuthi mhlambe mangase ithemba labo selise eminyangweni kwamakhosi omdabo nohlanga lomhlabathi ukuthi mhlambe mangabe lifika kube nembizo ezoba se-stadium mhlambe bengakwazi ukulapheka abantu mhlambe belingazwakala izwi lo hlanga lomhlabathi maliphawula ngalomdabo.
Meanwhile, the plight of the residents at Glebelands has got the attention of a humanitarian aid organization, Gift of the Givers. They have come to Glebelands Hostel today to hand out much-needed food parcels to aid the families that are caught in the crossfire of the ongoing violence.
And everybody was scared to come in here because of the violence, you know. And we've been in lots of other disasters with violence and stuff, so we're not afraid to get into areas like this. So we decided to come here and help these people.
In terms of the aid that is being provided today, what kind of aid is being brought to Glebelands?
Because these people are unemployed, they've got no jobs, and poverty is hitting them hard, we've brought for them some food parcels, some detergent packs, some vanity packs, and some SABC ready food.
There is currently an 80% unemployment rate at Glebelands Hostel, and the current violence has made it even harder for the residents to find employment because of the fear of going into certain no-go areas in Umlazi. The rivalry is currently between residents in Block R and Block 52, and the people who live in these blocks live in constant fear of being attacked and killed by rival factions. We meet one such widow who knows firsthand the price of living in Glebelands Hostel. Mamotena Pina's husband was assassinated at his place of work 4 months ago, allegedly by hitmen from Glebelands. Today, as she receives a food parcel from the aid organization, she is grateful because every day she is fighting to survive on her own.
Indivise ubuhlungu kakhulu ngoba ide yandithathela nomyeni wami. Uxatshana njengayazi mina into ebangwayo kahle kahle. Kodwa nje kancane bendike ndeva engathi kubangwa into yorent. Irent engathi bekhuphuka njalo ikhuphukile. Ke ngoku balwela lonto ukuthi umasipala mangabakhuphulele irent kakhulu angathethanga nabo bese ikhuphuke nje bona bava sokuthiwa nansi irent ikhuphukile angakaze ahlale nabo phansi. Kwawokha nezindlu mina xa ndithuka ijobo sikhona izindlu ezezintsha beziyakhiwe phakathi kwakuthiwa ezazindlu zakhelwa abantu abahlele 5 years bahlala eDlip ngabo abaqualify ukuthi bangene kwezindlu ezintsha. Kodwa ithemba kwakho ukuthi kuboshwe lamadoda base kuzithathelwa nje abantu ke bangena abanye basuka into kwezinye indawo nje ezingaphandle kodwa nalabo abangaphakathi bakhona kodwa ababanensanga. Esuke apho ke kude kufikele apha xa kuba ke ngokuyaliwa kuthiwa kubanga umbhede ababalwela lonto ukuthi na bafakwe kanjani abantu.
Mamotena believes that her husband Temba was killed because he was a community activist who was very vocal about resolving the housing issues in Glebelands.
Mayezodutshulwa qala kwakungolesithathu efika evele emsebenzini azothi yena kukhona umuntu emane emfonela emSABC ethena uzombulala. Bese ndiyabuza mina ukubulalela na athi hayi akachongo uthe nje nandi safuna ukuphilela ifamily yami. Ngabe ndithi mina ewe ndiyafuna wathi yena ke ndizokubulala wena igazi lakho lu 100,000.
She says when she heard of the alleged threat on her husband's life, she suggested that they relocate back to the Eastern Cape, but Temba Pina apparently refused. A few days later, he was shot and killed.
World makes it its business every evening to round up the leading local stories and international news to keep you informed all the time.
Make a date with Your World every evening for all the news headlines around the world to keep you abreast with knowledge.
Catch Your World for headlines across the world every Monday to Friday from 9 p.m, then Saturday and Sunday from 7 p.m.
Welcome to Network, a technology news program that also discusses what's trending in social media in and around Africa. MTN has launched its new movie and television streaming service, Front Row. If it's trending, we will find it. That's Network with me, Spumelele Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. only on the SABC News channel.
SABC News. We report, contextualize and present news and current affairs honestly, fairly and fully. We consider it a duty to provide consistent, relevant, useful and top quality information and analysis. Our mission is to provide credible, accurate and interesting news programming, bringing news into everyone's homes in everyone's languages. Thank you, South Africa, for relying on SABC News for quality news output and for making us your #1 source of information. SABC News, Africa's news leader.
KwaZulu-Natal is one province where police members are highest at risk. After Gauteng, it has the second highest rate of police killings. The hotspots of concern are Cleveland's hostel, KwaMashu hostel, as well as taxi violence. To find out for ourselves the risk factor, as special assignment, we spend a day on the ground with Umlazi police as they are about to engage in a high-risk operation in Cleveland's hostel, notoriously known as the Killing Fields.
As part of Operation Fiela, the SAPS members are briefed by their commanding officer.
Just check and search everybody, check, look for firearms, look for drugs, whatever you suspect to be criminal related.
The raid commences with more than 100 SAPS members as well as the tactical response team. The operation arrives at Block Y and goes door to door, bracing themselves for armed residents who may not welcome their presence. There are currently a number of operations that are being conducted in Umlazi, Cleveland's hostel and other hotspot areas, and this Operation Fiela forms part of a national program aimed at crime prevention in KZN.
Yes, we are aware that there is a lot of people who are staying in this area as well, and with the limited resources that we do have. But for this area alone, we have deployed a number of police officers that are 24 hours working in this area doing patrols, and they are also monitoring the situation. As you will see that there is also a temporary police station or a VOC that is based in this area as well, so that we can assist and do crime prevention in this area. While they are patrolling this area, they have already made a number of arrests, including the illegal firearms.
One of the biggest challenges to the policing of Cleveland's hostel is that there are more than 22,000 people staying in a confined area, while Umlazi SAPS has only about 400 members currently deployed. A few weeks ago, a violent petrol bomb attack took place in Block Y, which killed a 3-year-old child and severely burnt an elderly woman. In recent months, raids like these have been occurring in Cleveland's and KwaMashu.
In some cases, we notice that there are criminals that are staying in hostels. That is why we are raiding the hostel as well. That is why we are also getting some illegal firearms that are being hidden in these areas, as well as drugs as well. You may find that people are coming from all over in KZN and stay in these hostels. That is when we arrest these people who are from other areas as well.
The raid then moves to Block Z, and despite searching all the residents, SAPS members don't find any illegal firearms. It is apparent to our team, though, that the raid seems focused mainly on Block Y and Block Z, and the notorious Block 52, where Shlope was killed, and Block 42, which is allegedly known to have questionable individuals, are not given the same attention. Vanessa Berger is an independent researcher and human rights activist that has been studying the patterns of violence at the Cleveland's hostel for the past 5 years.
Particularly this year, we've noticed a big insurgence of hitmen at Cleveland's. It's definitely becoming a crime center. And these, as I say, these are definitely politically motivated assassinations. There's no other word for it. The similarity with all the victims, give or take one or two, all of them have either been former block chairmen or committee members or associated in one way or another with the block committee structures, who were instrumental in mobilizing the community in 2013.
Strong alliances and divisions along political and cultural lines also add to the problem. Vanessa also says that even though the hostels were originally intended for migrant labor, they were used as power blocks by the former apartheid regime to hide arms caches in.
The violence is not stopping. We say evictions yesterday, evictions again today. So it's only a matter of time before more people are killed. But also the murder of the alleged warlord. It's very sad actually, because the people who are carrying out these hits, they are being used. They are only tools in the hands of their political masters. And once they've served their purpose, they too will be thrown away, and they will have information that the politicians will not want to get out. So their days are probably just as numbered as the warlords were.
Vusi Zweni says that he lives in fear of losing his life because of his role in conflict resolution interventions against hostile violence.
Udlame olulaphaya eClevelands oqalekeni njengoba kubonakala balale nepolitiki enkulu, but okwenzeka emveni kwaloko kwaba ukuthi kudilizwe amakomiti omphakathi. Amakomiti omphakathi angachemile nepolitiki, kodwa akubukeka ngathi ahambisana no-block chairperson. Amakomiti futhi akwazi ukukhuluma ngeliso elilodwa. Ziningi ke izinto ezenzeka emveni kwaloko, ukuxoshwa kwabantu. Ngikhuluma nawe nje namhlanje ukuxoshwa abantu eBlock 48 kuthiwa bebengayanga emncwabeni, izolo bekuxoshwa abanye. Lokuxoshwa kwabantu ngeke uthi kuyipolitiki, so ungabona ukuthi ubugebengu babathile abathola amathuba okuzenzela imali okanye okuzenzela igama.
A handwritten eviction letter like this one, which gives the room owner only 2 days to vacate the hostel, has allegedly increasingly become a source of concern.
Okokuqala ukuthi once kube khona itafula elikhona exazulayo, alinokwazi itafula lokuxoxa ukuthi lizovimba ingalo yomthetho. Nomthetho kuzofuneka udlala indawo yayo la kunobugebengu khona. Mawuzokhipha umuntu ufaka omunye, lo muntu osendlini ufakwe nguba, then that means nangu lo muntu okhipha abantu, therefore makalandelwe. Uma ngaba umasipala ngenza lonto so that kutholakala ukuthi wena kuzokutholakala ukuthi ubani, ngoba kukhulunywa ngemali enkulu ezilapha eGiblet engakaze ngiyiphathi. Mawulalela ngemali ezikhoshwayo kuthiwa ziyakhishwa, imali enkulu ezikhishwa, usala kumbuzo othi ubani ofandayo le, ubani ofanda le violence yaseGiblet.
Hostel dwellers say violent evictions of residents in Cleveland happen monthly and are allegedly executed by people within the hostel. A few months ago, this woman, who cannot be shown for fear of victimization, was allegedly forcibly evicted from a hostel in Block 42 and her life was threatened.
Sathi singakuvuli wazikhabela isicango wangena. Abanye abafana bema ngaphandle, kwangena umfana oyi-1 owayemnyama. Wabuza uba sihlaleleni lapha siyekuya ka-Arab Hospital ngakhona. Xa sike salala nje sazi ukuthi sifile. Waphuma wahamba ngoba wayewathi uyabuya.
Zanele is now squatting with friends in another block because she has been left homeless. She is still living in fear following the incident.
Ngisathukile ngoba uma ndibona umuntu engamaziyo endilandela kuye kunyanzeleke ukuba ndime edlule ngoba ndazi noba kuseyibona laba abantu ababesifikele ngoba busuku.
Residents like Zanele say they live in constant fear of armed criminals who live in the hostel. They have seen what happens to those who do not vacate. During the course of our investigation into the conditions at the Cleveland's hostel, we also learned of the alleged duplicity of some SABC members in relation to their role at the hostel. There are currently 6 cases that have been reported to police watchdog IPID that directly implicate members from Umlazi SABC working at Cleveland's.
In this particular hostel, we've got about 5 assault cases, not necessarily torture, but torture is only 1 currently. So it does not necessarily mean that maybe there is no crime that has happened or maybe torture that has happened. It might have been they happened, but then the victims have not actually feel strong enough to come forward and report these things, these cases to us.
This picture is an alleged actual example of torture at Cleveland's hostel, with people allegedly being handcuffed and bloodshot eyes, which are apparently evidence of tubing. Concerns have been raised about the apparent general increase in police torture in the country.
The history of tubing, comes from the era of in South Africa, since the ICD era. When we picked this up was when during the time when we still had the specialized unit, like your serious and violent crimes, those units that were investigating those things. When investigating these things, these cases, they would actually want to get information from suspects that they feel that these people are withholding information from them, and they would actually use this tubing method.
We spoke to one such resident who is currently giving evidence against SABC members who allegedly tortured him using tubing.
Angishaya la ngaze ngawa khona ngaquleka mangabe ngiqulekile shuthi ngaphaphama nje mhlambe nami emva kwesikhathi esingangemzuzu ela ko 10 ubusho ke kazakwethu ke wayikhona ebuka yonke lento yenzeka engathi mabe ngithi ngiyaphaphama bathi bona ngiyadlala bengizenzisa yabo ngizosikhipha ilukhuzana isibhamu ngathi mina nginaso bathatha uplastic bawufaka ekhanda uplastic nje laba baseyitolo bokuthenga impahla bawufaka ekhanda bawehlisa kweza la emqaleni bafike bawubamba ke leli linye khona la ngivala umoya ngaleso sikhathi lenza leyo nto bangifaka ilokhuzana insimbi la enyaweni bangifaka insimbi ezingalweni ingalo bayiphendukezela kuphi ngemuva.
He is currently living in fear for his life and is receiving trauma counseling following his experience. To make matters worse, he says he has recently received death threats from an alleged hitman.
By the time the SAPS members, they tubing me, I was already told myself that, okay, it is my last day to see and meet with my family members, relatives, friends, and those people who I used to live with them were at Cleveland. Because I know one thing, if you tubing a person or a human being, you cannot expect him to survive.
Violence monitor and human rights activist Vanessa Berger says she has been receiving numerous reports of torture and assault by SABC in this area. This organization in KwaZulu-Natal has been calling for a special task team to be set up to investigate Umlazi SABC. The task team was officially sanctioned and deployed a few months ago.
10 reports since March last year, starting with a death in custody, death during interrogation. And since then, I have 10 records of torture, particularly tubing, which is disgusting. It's a contravention of international human rights. Apparently, we received reports that SABC members who were responsible for his torture are actually hunting him now. They're trying to find him at the alternative address that he had to supply court with. And they are allegedly working in conjunction with some of the hitmen So this is a huge concern because now we seem to have a death squad operating from Cleveland's combined unit of police and hitmen. I mean, that needs to be looked into.
After the killing of Bongani Shlope, a SABC member was taken in for questioning. He allegedly had close ties with Shlope and was allegedly also in possession of several illegal firearms.
It's not each and every police officer in the street that actually does this thing. It's just a small drop of those people that are actually doing this. So it actually changed the image of the police, these people that are actually doing these things. And it's important that we actually nip it in the bud.
But the problem is the police have not helped themselves. There was a police member living in the hostel, allegedly. He had 2 rooms. One room he shared with a hitman. Now this member was allegedly providing illegal firearms, official issue firearms to hitmen and other thugs in their hostel. So now if a community sees that all the time, what faith are they going to have in the police?
SABC was tight-lipped about the alleged involvement of their members in cases of torture or brutality.
At any stage where the police officer is involved in a shooting incident, the IP is also informed so that they can take over and do investigation. Yes, we are aware that there are some cases that are being investigated by the IP as well.
A provincial SABC task team has also been set up to investigate the allegations of SABC's collusion with criminals in Cleveland, as well as other cases of alleged police brutality. Meanwhile, victims of this ongoing violence like Mamotena are hoping for justice to prevail. In these killing fields, the wolves are the invisible hitmen and those that allow them to get away with impunity. At the end, innocent people of Cleveland remain their prey and are at their mercy.